name is Ginika, and I am going to tell you a story that will make you laugh, shake your head, and perhaps, if your heart is soft enough, make you cry a little too.
I am from Umweke, a small village in Anambra State where everybody knows everybody's business before they even finish doing it. Where the women at the stream will discuss your marriage prospects while you are still learning to cook. Where your mother's greatest prayer is not for your health or your wisdom, but for a husband. And not just any husband, a correct Ogbonge husband, tall, employed, with two good eyes that face forward. Which is why what I did nearly killed my mother. I fell in love with Emeka Gobiora. Let me describe Emeka to you so you can understand exactly what I am telling you. Emeka was not just ugly the way some men are ugly, the kind of ugly that you forget after a few minutes of conversation. No, Emeka was architecturally ugly. His face looked like God had been in a hurry the morning he made it. His very big nose sat slightly to the left of where a nose is supposed to sit. His lips were so full, they arrived in a room a full second before the rest of him. His ears, God have mercy. His ears were the kind that children in our village used to reference when they want to describe an elephant. Some people say Emeka's mother had an affair with a ghost and the gods punished her for it. Emeka was also short. Not dangerously short, but short enough that my younger sister Chioma, who was 15, could rest her chin on top of his head if she stood close enough, which she once did at a family gathering just to embarrass me. I wanted to pour hot pepper soup on her. Emeka's skin was the color of overstayed stew, a deep red tinged brown, and it was rough in places, smooth in others, like a road that the government had abandoned halfway through construction. He had a gap between his two front teeth wide enough to park a bicycle. This was the man I chose. I should tell you how it began, because people always assume he either bewitched me or threatened me. That is not what happened. I noticed his face immediately. The whole village had noticed it since the day he was born. His own mother, God rest her soul, was said to have looked at him in the delivery room and said,
Ginika, what is this?
Before the love hit her. That story had followed him his entire life. What happened was this. It was a Friday afternoon in November. The kind of November afternoon that could not decide if it wanted to be calm or angry, and so settled for both at the same time. I was walking back from the market with a basket of tomatoes on my head while shielding my eyes from the dusty wind. I was half blind, fully irritated, and muttering very unchristian things under my breath. I did not see the gutter. Now, this gutter was not a small, polite gutter. It was the openly ambitious gutter that ran along the side of Okafor's compound. The kind of gutter that had swallowed a goat in 2009 and returned it 3 days later looking confused. I stepped directly into it. The basket flew, the tomatoes scattered across the road like a small red disaster. My ankle turned, I went down. I climbed out and was sitting beside the gutter, wet, humiliated, with a twisted ankle and tomatoes rolling away from me with an urgency I found personally offensive, when a shadow fell over me. I looked up. It was Emeka. He was not laughing. That was the first thing I noticed. Every other person who had seen me fall, because this is Umweke, they are always witnesses, had their hands over their mouths, doing that thing where you are laughing but pretending to be concerned. Emeka's face held no laughter at all, just a focused, quiet worry that looked so genuine it startled me. Without a word, he began picking up my tomatoes, one by one, rinsing the ones that had rolled into cleaner parts of the road with the water from his own bottle, arranging them back in the basket with a care that made no sense for a man helping a stranger with vegetables. Then he reached down and pulled me up with both hands, strong hands I noticed, rough from carpentry work, and he held me steady when my ankle protested. When he was done with the tomatoes, he looked at me and said in Igbo, "Can you walk?" His voice. Nobody had ever mentioned his voice. It was low and unhurried, the kind of voice that did not waste itself on unnecessary words, the kind of voice that when it finally said something, you listened. "I think so," I told him. He nodded.
"I'll carry the basket to wherever you are going."
Not "can I," not "would you like me to," just a simple statement of what he intended to do, as if my comfort was already decided and all that remained was the logistics. I let him carry my basket as we walked home. I tried to make small talk, at least to show appreciation for what he had done. But this man only gave me one-word answers. He didn't even look at me. He kept going. I just decided to save myself the stress and further embarrassment and shut up. I found out later from my friend Ogozi, who knew everything about everyone, that Emeka had been in love with me for 2 years. "Wait, what?" I said. "Yes, so," Ogozi confirmed, with the satisfaction of someone delivering long-awaited news.
Yes, so he told Obina, who told Jidena, who told my cousin, that he had never spoken to you because he knew you would not consider him.
This information sat in my chest in a strange way. I went home that evening and thought about his hands picking up my tomatoes. I have heard and experienced shege in the hands of men in this village. That is a story for another day. But the idea that a man had loved me quietly, without expectation, for 2 whole years, without announcing it, without trying to corner me at church or send his relatives to my mother, just loving me in private, it felt beautiful. We began talking because I went back. I told myself I was passing by. I told Ngozi I needed something from the market. I told my parents I was just taking a walk. No one knew what I wanted to do. Emeka had a carpentry workshop at the edge of the main road. A small shed really, full of wood shavings and the smell of fresh timber and varnish. He made chairs and tables and bed frames, and sometimes for weddings, those elaborate carved doors that people in our village put at their entrances to announce that they had arrived in life. He was polishing a piece of wood when I appeared at the entrance of the shed. He looked up. He did not smile immediately. His face considered me for a moment, as if making sure I was real. And then the gap between his teeth appeared, and something in my chest made a small, embarrassing noise.
Tomato woman.
The tomato woman's helper.
It made no sense. He laughed anyway. I stayed for 1 hour that day, then 2 hours the next day. Then I stopped counting. I stayed in his shed for hours watching him carve wood, hit nails on the planes, polish chairs and tables. I watched him negotiate with customers, squeezing each naira note they gave him to ensure it is not fake money. I checked his record books and helped him take out every order he had completed. I watched him when he became quiet, focused on measuring the chopped wood to ensure there are no mistakes. I watched the way he would pout his big lips, furrow his brows, and squeeze his already crooked nose when he's making some calculations in his head. Sometimes he would tease me that I'm a luku woman. My mother found out in the way mothers in Umweke always find out. Not from you, but from 3 other people who each swore they were not going to tell anyone. She called me into the kitchen, which in our house was the room where all serious conversations and gossips happened, because the presence of pots and fire would give them weight. She looked at me for a long time.
Ginika.
Is it true?
Mama.
Is it true?
I knew exactly what she was talking about. Yes. I say confidently. She was quiet for so long that I started counting the lines on her wrapper. Then she said,
That boy is so ugly, Ginika. God forgive me, but that boy is so ugly.
I know,
He
Mama.
looks like someone described a face to a blind man and asked him to sculpt it.
Mama.
He looks like God forbid.
Mama, please. Stop now.
She was quiet again. Then,
Does he treat you?
and there it was, under all the noise of her concern, under the pride and the village talk and the image she had spent years curating, that one small and true question, the most important question.
He treats me like I am the most important and fragile thing he has ever come in contact with.
My mother looked at me for a very long time. Then she picked up her ladle and went back to her pot. Occasionally, she would turn to look at me, shake her head, and go back to cooking. She did not say yes, she did not say no. But the next Sunday, when Emeka came to greet her formally, standing at our door in a well-ironed senator outfit, clutching a bottle of wine with the focused terror of a man defusing a bomb, she let him in and offered him food. In Umweke, that means everything. We married 10 months later. On the morning of my traditional wedding, Ngozi sat beside me while the women painted my hands with uli, and she whispered,
Ginika, are you sure? Even now, last chance. If you ask me that again, I will use this uli to paint your face.
And then Emeka walked in his white traditional wear, his beautiful, terrible face, bright with an emotion he was trying very hard to contain. Those enormous ears, and that huge sideways nose, and that magnificent gap-toothed smile. And he looked at me the way he had been looking at me for years now, like I was a rose he was endlessly grateful to have. And my heart did that same small, embarrassing noise it had done in the carpentry shed. My mother cried. Not the polite tears of mothers at weddings, real crying, the kind that ruins face powder. I asked her afterward why she cried so hard.
Because you chose right, my daughter. But I just hope your children take after you, Biko.
It was hilarious. My mother has always been very dramatic. Emeka and I have been married for 11 years now. He is still the ugliest man in Umeke. We have confirmed this several times. He remains committed to the position. Last year, his cousin Ikena arrived from Lagos looking rough from the journey, and for 3 days, Emeka had competition. But Ikena's face recovered, and Emeka retook the title without much effort. He tells this story himself at parties, and he laughs loudest at the end of it. That is the other thing nobody tells you about loving an ugly man who has learned to live joyfully inside his own skin. There is a freedom in it. Emeka does not spend time worrying about how he is perceived. He does not position himself mere good lighting or angle his face away from cameras. He walks into every room like a man who has already made his peace with the world's opinion of him. And that kind of peace, I am telling you, it is contagious. Our daughter is 7 now, and she has his ears and my eyes, and she is, without question, the most beautiful child I have ever seen in my life. When I told Emeka this, he laughed, that gap-toothed laugh, and said, "She got lucky. She took after you." I told him he was wrong. She took after both of us, the best parts of both of us. So yes, that was how I fell in love and married the ugliest man in my village. He may be the ugliest in the village, but he is the sweetest and most beautiful man to me. I married him and I'm not ashamed to go out with him. Beauty fades, but what doesn't fade is a man's true self.
If you love my story, please like, comment, and subscribe. Be honest, will you ever marry an ugly person?